It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
I just get in and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to It's Just Football. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Mike Renner. Mike, you waited till the last second, but you got the smelling salts in.
Yeah, still got it. I mean, we got these like a couple years ago, and they still worked. Hyped us.
Don't you start your morning with coffee anyways?
Yeah, I mean, the more the better. The more energy.
So you just go coffee, and then an hour later you go smelling salts.
Yeah, I'm just chasing, honestly. Just chasing that high.
Just chasing. Chasing the high. Well, appreciate everybody joining us, whether or not you've done smelling salts today or not. We're going to have a lot of fun on this show. It's a Thursday night football preview show, and we got a lot of ways to cover it. We're going to crown a tweet of the week. We're going to talk about the 3 things that we want to see this weekend, even beyond Thursday night football. But because it is such an incredible game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers, we're also going to expand our coverage in how we are previewing this game by doing a player draft, an on-the-spot player draft against one another. Mike and I are going to be filling out rosters of quarterback, running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and picking an offensive line, and we're going to snake draft against each other. So we think that's going to be a creative, fun way to be able to cover the game. Quinn, Stone, how are we doing behind the glass? How's everybody feeling in the production suite today?
Good, man. Excited for Thursday night football, which got me thinking about the question of the day. This one, another real simple one. Do you guys like when your team plays on Thursday night? Ooh. Yes or no?
Okay, so the question of the day, and this is for the chat as well. What's up, chat? We want you to get in on this and every question that we ask here on this show. We'll read them out as the show goes on. Do you like when your team plays on Thursday night football? Mike, do you?
Yes, 100% yes. Big fan of Thursday Night Football. Obviously, people complain about the product. Oh, it's a bad product, whatever. I don't really care that much. I love the Thursday Night Football. I especially love when the Bengals play on Thursday Night Football because of just how our schedule works out. I get to go to those games. I get to tailgate those games one of the few times I actually do here in Cincinnati. So, yeah, big fan.
Only time I've ever been tailgating with you guys, because we did the Sunday live show last year, was when the Bengals played on Thursday Night Football. I didn't even go to the game. I just went to the tailgate scene, and it was electric. I also like when my team plays on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
It's kind of like nerve-wracking, especially if it's a big game, because you go like, oh, like short week rest, and almost Thursday kind of creeps up on you. You just go like, oh shoot, yeah, my team plays tonight. I actually have to pay attention. But me personally, I love watching the rest of the league as well. And like whenever the Bucks play on Sunday, I'm watching that game. Mm-hmm. And so when my team has already played, if they play on Monday or if they play on Thursday, then I just get to watch as much football as possible on Sunday. I don't even really have to care about anything else. So.
I agree with that take too, where it's like it frees up your Sundays to be less stressful and more enjoy just football. So yes, big fan.
We got a lot of people who are screaming no. They don't like when the team plays on Thursday. Now, my question to you guys in the chat is, do you just not like the fact that it can be a disadvantage for your team? Like, it's shorter for guys to get back from injury, less time to game plan. You feel like your team's not going to come out as sharp. Or like, do you actually not like it? You would rather your football be on a Sunday?
Yeah, to me, it's really like the only reason not to like it is the first thing you said there. Is my team got 2 days of practice. Like that's it. So
I don't know, man. Chat seems to be very against us here. We'll keep bringing this question up throughout the show as people kind of get in on the show. I'd love to hear this answer, but overwhelming. It feels like we're at no, they don't really like this. If you guys don't have a PFF subscription right now, you can do so over at pff.com. Get yourself 25% off by using just the word football because you are watching this show. Wanted to make sure that I let you guys know that right off the top. So as you hear all of the PFF stats, all of the analysis that we're going to be able to give on this show, you guys can get it too by going over to pff.com, getting yourself a PFF Plus subscription, and 25% off using the promo code football. All right, let's refresh the timeline. We got a couple of things that we want to get to. Starting off with what is the photo of the year. Already in week 1, Emily Chin took this photo right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. She is the photographer for the Reds, but I'm sure just bounces around, does a lot of other sporting events when she has the time to be able to do it. And she captured this unbelievable moment, this iconic moment in time where Jamar Chase just gave Minkah Fitzpatrick the double bird. Mike, when you saw this picture, what was your first reaction?
My thing was, it's a cool photo, one. My first reaction, though, was like, you lost the game. You know, like.
Yeah, but he didn't do that when they lost the game.
I know, but it's like Minkah Fitzpatrick won the Steelers that game. He single-handedly
early on, he did.
Put the team on his back.
Yeah, he did.
Blocks the extra point, has the pick six. Like, they win that game because of Minkah Fitzpatrick. So, Minkah Fitzpatrick's got to feel pretty good with that tweet going viral, that picture going viral, because he can just sit back and say, you know, you got the last laugh.
He did. He definitely got the last laugh about it. Jamar Chase was asked about this picture. I think we have the video that we could play here. He was asked about it in the locker room the next day. So, just take a listen.
I have. And I can tell y'all have seen it too.
Yes.
What prompted what happened to kind of let it out? I don't want to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
Did you say what point in the game it was?
Say it again?
What point in the game was it?
I think that was like my third catch.
Okay, so it was beginning of the game. Mm-hmm. All right, so there was plenty of game left. But to your point, Minkah had already housed the pick six, right? He had already put the Steelers up. Third catch, that was the beginning of many catches, many targets for Jamar Chase. And it was funny because afterwards he said, that's not the first time I've done it. It's just the first time that they've caught me giving somebody the double middle fingers. Minkah Fitzpatrick actually clarified and also said, nah, I don't like any of them. I don't like the Cincinnati Bengals. He admitted that they came in wanting to make a statement for that game. So this was a classic rivalry.
There's a strong history of players flipping the birds in the NFL. My favorite, going back as a Packers fan, was when A.J. Hawk flipped off his own bench because they were making fun of him in the middle of the game. So A.J. Hawk got caught on actually the broadcast flipping off his own bench back in the day.
You got Earl Thomas flipping off Pete Carroll, right?
Carroll.
As when he was getting carved
That had
off.
a little different energy. That had a little more hateful energy to it.
I know this wasn't his own fans, but Michael Jordan, the offensive lineman from Ohio State, giving the double birds as he got ejected in the Michigan game. That's what rivalry's all about, man. It is not a top-tier rivalry until somebody's given the double middle finger.
Michael Jordan, also a Bengal.
Are the best. Like that when you're flipping off a fan base, that to me is better than on the football field, someone you're playing against. Like giving it to the crowd after either an ejection, after a win. Those ones always hit a little different.
Obviously, the chat is agreeing with you. They're saying, Chase, you lost the game. But at the time, it was heated. You didn't know that. They
didn't lose.
In fact, they probably should have won the game. But again, the reason why they didn't, probably Minkah Fitzpatrick. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to another tweet, which I think is, if we had picture of the week, or picture of the year even, this might have been tweet of the week. I saw this yesterday. It was from, I want to get this right, NBC New York. Tweeted out an article about Tom Brady, talking about Giselle, the relationship that they have. Giselle did an interview this week, talking about how she wants it to be her time to follow her passions, follow her career. She's made so many sacrifices for Tom Brady. And it looked like, you start reading it looks like it's just like a normal news headline. And then you get to the back of it. Made sacrifices for her husband, Tom Brady, who lost 2 Super Bowls to the New York Giants. There is not much that you could go after Tom Brady about. But damn it, this New York Twitter account made sure that they went after Tom Brady in the way that they could.
So that's like most local newspapers, news outlets. Anytime they drop a headline, they're relating it back to the area that they're covering. You know, in some way, shape, or form is oftentimes, you know, how that works. This was the far end of that in terms of trolling by relating it back to the city of New York, because obviously everyone knows Tom Brady. Obviously everyone knows Giselle Bündchen. If you don't need the context about how it relates to the city of New York.
Right.
But the city of New York, NBC New York, hats off to your social media guy. Whoever wrote that headline, because that is fucking fantastic.
Whoever smash send on that tweet deserves a raise.
Yes.
Make him CEO of the entire company. Put him in charge of marketing. That's brilliant. Not a single person would have given a damn about that article had it not have been for that tweet.
Kicking a man when he's down, though. Did you see Giselle and Brady reportedly not sleeping in the same house?
Dude,
right
don't look. Brady.
Tough stuff.
Brady's probably sleeping in a hyperbolic time chamber anyways. Like he's probably not even sleeping in a bed. That's probably Tom Brady's probably sleeping in like a negative gravity.
He probably sleeps upside down
room.
In a cocoon.
Right. Like a bat. I don't know what it is, but somehow the man's 45 years old and his arm looks like he's 26. Yeah. So I don't know. He's not doing what the rest of us are doing. So who knows at this point with Tom Brady. All right. Something that I wanted to talk about on today's show as we look forward to this week's game. We're ushering in Thursday Night Football, and we're going to get to a big overview and our preview of Chiefs and Chargers. But I wanted to look a little bit past that to those Sunday slate of games and the Monday slate of game as well. And I wanted to talk about 3 things we want to see. So it doesn't have to be from a specific team, but you want to see more action from a player. Do you want to see him deployed a certain way? Do you want to see a certain team play a certain style of coverage? I feel like you might want to see the Packers actually play defense.
Okay, well,
something.
That was a given. We knew that.
Let's talk about 3 things that we want to see in the NFL this week, and I'd love to hear from the chat as well. What's something that you guys want to see? But Mike, what is your first thing?
This is kind of boring. I mean, mine are all kind of boring, but this is, I mean, like, obviously from a player's perspective, I want to see like rookies do well. I want to see other guys do well. But I want to see Amazon Thursday Night Football. I want to see what this looks like.
Okay.
Because you got Kirk Herbstreit, you got Al Michaels, you got this trash intro song that they dropped on social media a few weeks ago that I just want to see how it goes. Because this is the future, right? Like we're not going backwards from streaming. We're not going backwards from people like Amazon, people like Apple being major players in the NFL market and how they're broadcasting games. So I want to see what this looks like. I want to see what they have on tap because they're going to make a splash. Amazon's got some fucking cash behind them. You know, they are going to make a splash. They are not going to let this flop in the NFL. So they're going to pull out all the stops. I'm just excited to see what that looks like, especially with the game they have.
It is funny. I was upstairs this morning when I got in the office and I was talking to Ben Lindsay, who also works at PFF, and I kind of came to the realization, and I already knew this, but it's one thing to like, oh yeah, I know this, and then you really sit down and you think about it. This game is on a streaming service.
Yes.
Right? I was thinking to myself, oh, what channel is this game on? It's not on NFL Network. It's not on NBC. It's not on ABC. It's not on Fox. It's not on CBS.
There are some local markets, though, I believe. Well, if you're in a local market,
but the rest of it, it's a streaming service. Yeah. How different is that? That's the part that really like hit me this morning about how different this is, and it is something that I'm very much looking forward to. They got a lot of star power behind it, but holy cow, you could not have picked a bigger game. I feel like to get people to go, oh, this is game 1. All right, I'll buy it for this season.
Well,
why not?
NFL knew what they were doing.
Of course.
They weren't putting Jags-Titans, the Thursday night special.
Oh, come on.
They weren't putting that as Amazon's first game. I'm just saying
Titans got the 1 seed last year.
They knew what they were doing.
Trevor Lawrence is coming up.
Yeah. He is, but they weren't putting that in this game.
This game is better. I'm totally kidding. This game is obviously much, much better. Okay, something that I want to see this upcoming weekend. Houston Texans. Give Dameon Pierce a damn ball. I graduated from the University of Florida. Watched a lot of Florida Gators football, and I was one of many fans who was begging.
I was going to say, you've been wanting this. This isn't a new thing for you.
Like Dameon Pierce. Give Dameon Pierce the football. And here we were last week, and it felt like it would have been the moments for Dameon Pierce to get the ball, and he just didn't. This guy was fantastic in the preseason when they were able to put him out there. He had a really good training camp, according to all reports. But he played in just 29% of the Texans snaps in week 1, 11 carries for 33 yards. Okay, you're not putting the world on fire with those stats. 1 catch for 6 yards. But even after the game, Lovie Smith was asked about it and said, we need to get Dameon more touches. That's what we need to do. Now, Lovie Smith went on to expound upon that a little bit further and said, hey, in-game situations, we just weren't able to get him in the game. We need to figure out a way to be able to do that a little bit better. But Mike, when you look at what the Texans were doing last week and the game situations they had, maybe you can micromanage some of their drives a little bit more, but they were up in that game, right? Yes. They were up in that game. They were winning 20-3 at one point. Mm-hmm. They just continued to build their lead, and the Colts could not move the ball. It felt like for 3 quarters that would have been when you give Dameon Pierce the football, and they just didn't. So I hope it's a little bit different. I hope they lean on Dameon Pierce a little bit more because it just seems like he continues to reward them no matter what. I mean, the yards per carry average was not great last week, but you could see it. In his first carry of the game, Bobby Okereke comes up and almost fully wraps him up, but Dameon Pierce having that style, that never give up, that motor that never quits, he almost gets dragged to the ground, but instead he just rips Okereke right off of him and continues to run for extra yards after contact. And you go, that's what makes this dude special. That's why you got to get him the ball, because he can make good situations out of bad situations. And I think certainly for the Texans, they need a player like that. Let's get Dameon Pierce the damn ball this week.
I concur. I love Pierce. RB3, PFF draft, we're coming out. So obviously a big fan. My second guy, or guys that I would like to see this weekend, I want to see the year 2 QBs fucking show up, right? Like Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills, Mac Jones, obviously Zach Wilson out. But like, this was a loaded quarterback class. When's it going to come to fruition? Are we going to see any of these guys? Because Davis Mills led the group with a 67.7 passer grade. That in week 1. That was it. Like, that is not great. Like, we need to see these guys finally take that step in some way, shape, or form, because at the moment, I mean, Lawrence, you saw flashes, but then he heaves up a Hail Mary on a 3rd down at the end of the game that just lost them the game. Like, ended it right there that he didn't need to do. So I just need to see these guys. I need to see something. Some reason for encouragement, because the rookie season's disappointed. Week 1 was a disappointment. And obviously Trey Lance and Justin Fields played in a downpour, but this is your opportunity. Let's see it.
Yeah, peeps in the chat, tell us what you want to see this weekend when we're kind of done with ours. Well, I'm going to circle back around, and I want to shout out some of you guys for what you want to see this weekend. But my second one goes hand in hand with yours. It's more specifically with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I want to see Trevor Lawrence play confidently this week, because if you go back and you watch that first game that they had against the Commanders, yes, he was let down, right? The offensive line was not what it needed to be. He had 2 passes, easy passes, to Travis drop, right? He was being let down by a lot of his supporting cast. But that didn't change the fact that Lawrence absolutely could have been better. And I think where I want to see him improve is just be confident. There were a handful of throws, especially starting that game, where he's just a second late. He's hesitant. Like, you think about the overthrown, I think it was a wheel route that he had on that first drive that was a wide open touchdown. Can't remember who the receiver was.
That was Etienne.
But what he did was he hiked, he acted, he was looking one way, he saw Etienne was open, and then he did not move his feet the way that he needed to, and it's almost just like he panicked. He knows what to do. You see it on certain snaps, but he hasn't put it all together yet, and I still feel like it's because he's just not playing with as much confidence as he could be. If we get a confident Trevor Lawrence, I am convinced that even the shortcomings that are around him on the roster will not look as bad. He just needs to play a little bit more confident. I know it's kind of a give and take with that, but I need to see him more confident, man. When you see the read, when you know where the ball is going, fire it. Get it in there. Don't hesitate, because I saw too much hesitation from Lawrence last week, and he's too talented of a quarterback for that to be the case. I want him to play more confident.
And I need to see him improve his fucking pregame speeches. That was poop. You see that on social media?
Dude, come on.
They
Some
dogged him.
people
Let's play some swag out there, guys.
Some people
on 3.
aren't meant for that stuff.
Swag on 3. I agree. Trevor Lawrence got to show up. And, I mean, you got the Colts at home. Colts kryptonite. So, excited to see. My last one.
Yeah, who you got?
It's not one person. I need to see some points, dude. We did not have offensive performances in week 1. Unders 111-5.
Yeah.
It was abysmal showing for a lot of offenses. And again, you have the one rain game, but that's the only one really that weather affected and hampered these offenses. This was just, I think this was the lowest point total output of the last 3 seasons. Like in week 1, it was just not impressive that we thought, we've been talking all offseason, all these teams have quarterback talent. Look at everyone prioritizing receiver talent. Defenses won out in week 1. And maybe the sort of coaching tree that, the Brandon Staley's of the world, the Vic Fangio tree, the wave that's sweeping the NFL of limiting these big plays is actually, coming to roost, and we're going to see defenses maybe take a little bit back in the schematic advantage standpoint that we've seen offenses have a stranglehold over for the last decade.
Tim says that he wants to see Zach Taylor be a good head coach. Come on. That's your number 5 team.
Yeah.
Number 5 team with a head coach
team.
that
didn't factor the coach in there, but that roster.
Jake wants to see the Lions beat the Commanders, get their first dub of the season. Gabriel shouting out Karlaftis going up against Slater. That's going to be great. That's going to be great. We're definitely going to be able to touch on that a little bit more. Mojo said, I want to see Cade York make a 60-yard field goal. The legend that is Cade York will be known to the world, our Lord and Savior.
Cade York's got a fucking boomer, dude. He can kick it.
Starting a religion out here. Nietzsche said, I want to see Arthur Smith scheme up some design plays for Kyle Pitts. What a wonderful segue into my third.
Oh.
My third. We didn't practice that, I promise. Me and Nico did not practice that one. My third one is I want to see a Kyle Pitts touchdown. I want to see a Kyle Pitts touchdown this week. Come on. I went and I watched every single red zone snap from Kyle Pitts this past weekend. They're not even scheming it up for him. I mean, you got plays where Parker Hesse is the emphasized player in the slot.
I don't know who that is.
I didn't either until I was watching the tape, and I was like, hey, number 46. Now, he had a touchdown in the preseason. I looked it up. He had a pretty decent preseason, and I want to give him a shout-out because he's been a practice squad player for the last 2 years. Now he's getting on the active roster for the Falcons, so I love that about him. But he didn't get drafted number 4 overall. Kyle Pitts did. And they're not even targeting him the way they should be in the red zone. He's not an emphasis at all. And I watched all the receiving snaps, not just the targets. This guy's got 1 touchdown in 18 games played. That can't be, man. He was tied for the most receiving snaps they played in the red zone last week with Drake London. They both had 4. But it's like the plays were never really designed to get Kyle Pitts the ball. It's like they're taking their number 4 overall pick and they're making him a decoy in the area of the field in which you drafted him to be an impact player. I get it. Playing in the red zone, space is limited. It's tough. It's not as easy as just snapping your fingers and getting Kyle Pitts the ball. But it's got to be easier than 1 touchdown in 18 games. That's all I'm saying. Let's get Kyle Pitts a damn touchdown this week. That's what I want.
For as much as Dan Mullen didn't feature Dameon Pierce, who was your first guy on this list.
Right.
He did Kyle Pitts in the red zone. That Ole Miss game that kind of put him on the map his junior year, 4 touchdowns in that. Like, they would give him targets because he's a 6'5", 250-pound freak. Like, that's where you should win. That's where it should be, a mismatch. But TBD on if that comes to fruition here with Arthur Smith.
I need to see it. I need to see it here. Bonker said that Lattimore shut down Pitts. I mean, there's a handful of plays where Lattimore's close to him, but again, I'm watching these play designs, and they're not even really schemed to get Kyle Pitts these one-on-ones that you would want. Even from a part of the field, spacing part of the field, how the play is being developed, what the play design is. I mean, they're running them to sides of the field where you've got multiple guys around. You're clearly not throwing the ball his way. It just feels like they're using him as a distraction more than an offensive weapon in the red zone. So Jay Official said, sounds like he's getting the Julio treatment. I mean, we need to do something in Atlanta, man. They're taking these top receivers. Bonker says he needs more Dan Campbell quotes. It's what he wants to see out of the weekend. Trey said the Patriots-Steelers game is going to be the lowest scoring game of the year.
Yeah, that's not a crazy. That's a good take right there. I could see that game not get past midfield. That's a Big Ten. That's a Big Ten matchup right there. That's Saturday, Purdue against Nebraska.
Oh no!
And you're just holding your nose, taking it all in.
Now at 3:30 on CBS.
Yeah, it's a new era.
Sacrilege, dude. Jack says I want to see Matt Canada get fired. All right. Ryan says I want to see Lamar sign a contract. Don't think either of those things are happening, but hey, you know what? You guys can dream. Crazier things have happened in the NFL, I suppose. So Lamar comes out. He comes out of the tunnel like with the contract signed, like through the smoke.
He signs it at midfield.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be the way to do it.
Awesome.
That would actually be pretty sick. I actually like that idea there. The question of the day, before we get into our Thursday night football draft. Do you guys like when your team plays on Thursday night? I know we've got a handful more people in the chat. A lot more than a handful, actually. But I want to know from you guys. Do you like when your team plays on Thursday Night Football? Very simple question. Mike and I do. We like the freedom of having our Sunday to be able to watch whatever we want, bounce around whatever game we want. But a lot of people are saying no.
It seemed like a lot of no's.
It seems like a lot of no. Yeah. So let's keep this conversation going. What do you guys want to see as we get into our Thursday Night Football player draft? So here's what's going to happen. We're gonna make our producers behind the glass absolutely panic here because they're doing all this live on the fly because we wanted it to be as organic as possible. We are going to have a back and forth draft. Mike and I are going to here. We're going to determine who picks first in this draft via a trivia question that Quinn is about to ask us. And essentially, what we'll do is we'll draft a roster just from tonight's players: quarterback, running back, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and then a full offensive line. Not all 5 players. I mean, like, I'm drafting either the Chiefs' offensive line or the Chargers' offensive line. And that's how we're going to do it. So not at the end of the game, but next week we're going to take a look at which team had the higher cumulative PFF grade. And that is how we are going to determine the winner. So it's a little bit of a mix of, PFF All 22, a little bit of daily fantasy in there, and just a fun way for us to preview how we think these players are going to play and what we think is going to happen tonight. So, Quinn, if you have the trivia question, you could throw it up, and we can try to get it going here.
I do. So, Chiefs-Chargers tonight. Chiefs-Chargers tonight.
Correct. Yes.
You said you were going to make us panic. I'm already panicking. Chiefs-Chargers tonight. Travis Kelce was the highest graded pass catcher this past week. What was his overall grade? Whoever gets the closest, you get the first pick.
I'll say 91.7.
Well, is it Price is Right rules?
Never Price is Right rules.
No,
Price is Right rules stink.
All right, so you said what?
91.7.
No cheating either. You guys
I'm going
got
to say
laptops in front of you.
90.6.
It's 91.9. I feel like
Oh, you knew that.
I just know how like
You
the
know
highest
that.
grades of the week are always around like 92.
I think he knew that, and I think he guessed a little bit low
I do
on
too.
purpose.
Chat,
There's not really-
There's collusion here. There's some collusion. You knew this early.
I don't think I did, honestly.
No,
I just
I'm calling
know that's
absolute
like how every
bullshit.
highest graded receiver. Like I've seen these grades for a decade now.
I don't
so.
care that you've graded players in the past. This is bullshit. I want a investigation. I want an FBI investigation.
To be
on
fair,
what just
there's
happened.
not like a great. I guess there's one first pick that's probably the really only one that makes sense. Is Travis Kelce.
Okay,
right?
so wait, are you? So you're going first?
I'm going
You
first.
can
Yeah,
choose. You can either
okay, I'm
go
going
first,
Yeah,
or
I'm
you
going
can get the
first.
back-to-back.
I'm
It's
going
a
to go
snake
second.
draft.
I don't want to go second. I am going to go first.
Okay.
To me, O-line and quarterbacks are close enough that it's like I'm not sure those matter. So I'm going to go Travis Kelce because Travis Kelce versus Gerald Everett to me is the biggest like difference, talent difference here.
He did know.
So I'm going to go Travis.
He looked up Travis Kelce beforehand
No.
for this pick, and he saw his grade.
I
He
was just
did.
all off the cuff.
He absolutely knew.
I think he knew. All right, I'm filling in Travis Kelce. Okay, you got Travis Kelce. This was the obvious pick.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce led the team in targets, led the team in catches, led the team in yards, had a touchdown last week. Albeit the Cardinals defense stinks and they didn't play him very well. But Trey said it's the Talking Cheating podcast, a cheating podcast with Mike Renner. Thank you.
You ain't cheating,
Thank
you're
you,
trying, but I'm
everybody,
not cheating.
for defending my honor here. I can't collusion between the talking ball boys. That's what I say it is. I want the chat. I want a full chat investigation here. Okay, so now I got back to back. It's a snake draft. You took Travis Kelce. That was the obvious choice. I think my first pick is going to be Austin Eckler. I'm going to take Eckler at running back.
Fair.
I think that's still the strongest play here because of how much he can benefit the game in both the run game and the pass game. When you look at last year's two matchups against the Chiefs, he had some pretty good days. He really did. 11 carries, 55 rushing yards, over 5.0 average, had 6 targets, 6 catches, and then the next week, 12 carries, 59 yards, 4 targets, 4 catches. But an easy way to quantify that is simply by saying two of Eckler's 5 highest graded games last season came against the Chiefs. So he plays well against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, it's Nick Bolton and Willie Gay who are the linebackers this year as opposed to some linebacker rotations they had last year. But I still think that Eckler is going to play well enough here. And then the next guy that I'm going to go with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, the wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh.
I think he's in for a big night. I really do. We got over-unders on him, and I think the over-unders are around like 70-ish receiving yards tonight. I know Dr. Eric Eager likes the overs on this one. So I like the matchups. I like that I feel like it's going to be a shootout, and I think he's going to look Marquez Valdes-Scantling's way tonight. So
Okay.
I'm going to go with Valdes-Scantling as my top wide receiver.
I can't hate on that too much. I agree that I think that he's a little bit of a mismatch with his speed, but I'm going to go, I guess I get 2 here. I'm going to go Mike Williams because I need a wide receiver myself.
Dude, was Mike Williams playing hurt last week?
I don't know.
Dude,
He's always like banged up.
Dude,
though.
he just looked like he was running in quicksand,
Yeah.
man. I wanted to pick Williams my first pick.
He
but
got
watched
his bag. And
I watched the tape and I was like, dude, he's not even running full speed. I don't know.
I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go. I think I got to go this route because of the matchup, and it's the Chargers' offensive line.
Okay.
I think I got to go there because the Chiefs go up against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. If we're doing grade-wise, who's going to grade out better tonight? It's going to be the Chargers' offensive line because they're going up against Chris Jones and like
George
Mike
Karlaftis,
Dana.
Come on. Mike Dana played well.
But like that's a little bit of a different animal. Like they're similarly talented offensive lines, but the Chargers have the easier matchup.
This is fantastic because I was going to go with the Chiefs.
Oh,
offensive line.
go.
So
Then by all
I'm not going
means,
to pick him
you're
now.
welcome.
I'm not going to pick him now. I don't have to. You already
Yeah.
picked the offensive line. So I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to save offensive line and tight end for my last picks here. I'm checking to see if the chat thinks anything. Kelce and Chargers O-line. Okay, yeah, we're flashing it up. I'm remembering who's on the board. Here. Wide receiver. Okay.
So wide receiver and QB are the 2 positions that we're still contesting.
Yeah.
The other ones
I'm
pick
going.
themselves after this.
I'm definitely going Juju Smith-Schuster because he had a lot of targets last week.
That he did.
I think he had 9. Didn't he have 9 targets? What'd he get? 8 targets. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions, 79 yards. So I think that he's still going to get a ton of targets in this game. I think they're going to go to him over the middle and for the underneath stuff a lot. Oh, man, but then do I want to go out on a limb with my next one? I'm going to round out wide receiver no matter what.
Ooh. You want me to break it off a quarterback? I see.
I'm gonna have you break it off a quarterback because quarterback it doesn't really matter to me. Both of these guys are gonna play so well. Do I think that Sky Moore's gonna go off? That's the question. I don't know if the usage is there. I'm going Josh Palmer. I'm gonna go Josh Palmer. I'm gonna go Josh Palmer. Get absolutely wrecked. This is why we do it live, folks. So you can see Mike get sniped live on YouTube streaming television. Get absolutely smoked. Okay, so my skill position players: Austin Eckler, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Juju, Josh Palmer. Sure wish I got Travis Kelce, but here we are. Nothing I can do about that. Ooh, it's a beautiful list. I like how this is going.
I'll break it off.
We're doing it well.
I'm breaking off QB, and I'm going Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes and Sky Moore at wide receiver.
Ooh, your boy.
There we go. All right, then the last two pick themselves because we already have overlap positions. So I guess my last wide receiver will be...
You were super high on Sky Moore. Hold on. Whoa. You can't pick. You can't make a pick.
I'm just saying we've overlapped every position. Now I just have running back, and wide receiver. You just have tight end and QB.
But you can't jump me. You can't jump me. You can't say who your last wide receiver is.
Okay, go ahead. Where are you going?
You love Sky Moore in the draft, didn't you?
Duh.
You were huge.
21st in the PFF draft board.
21st, damn.
Yeah. So we'll see how he turns out.
Damn. All right.
He had a nice 30-yard catch week 1.
No, he did. I just don't know if he's going to play a lot.
Yeah, we'll see if he gets more snaps.
I just don't know if he's going to play a lot here. Okay, so Josh Palmer putting this in. God, we are firing by. Do y'all pick defense too? No, we're not picking defense. We probably should have picked defense.
Yeah, that would have.
I didn't know how long this segment was going to go though. I didn't know how chaotic it was going to be.
So you have QB and wide receiver.
I do have QB and wide receiver.
QB and tight end. You got your wide receivers cashed.
Okay. Herbert, obviously. I'm going to go Herbert at quarterback. I think that Justin Herbert, we spoke about this on the show yesterday. Justin Herbert played really, really well.
You want to go back up?
And no, I'm not going to go back. Maybe one of them gets hurt and he just comes in for like the kneel down or something and he's just like PFF grades through the roof. No, but I thought that Justin Herbert played well last week. I thought he put on display a lot of those crazy throws that him and only a couple other quarterbacks can make. Funny enough, one of them's on the other sideline. But Joe Lombardi even said after the game, like, hey, we were a little bit too conservative. And so even without Keenan Allen, I think that this is going to be a team that's going to look to keep their foot on the gas pedal throughout the entire game. If it's a high-scoring affair, obviously it favors both quarterbacks going off. But like Justin Herbert, I was totally fine with getting either quarterback here. And then we'll just go Chargers. I'll leave it in suspense for tight end because I guess there's more options. So, you can't give it all away. But I'll go Justin Herbert, and then I'll go with the Chiefs offensive line. Chiefs offensive line, number 1 graded offensive line last week. I thought they played really well. Again, Cardinals defense, their front is not the most stout. You're going up against a really nice Chargers defensive line. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack are the headlines, but there's also a lot of guys in the middle. Morgan Fox, Sebastian Joseph Day, a lot of guys that they can throw in the middle of the pocket too. You got Kenneth Murray coming as a blitzer, all of that stuff. So it's going to be a tough task for the offensive line. I don't think they're going to make it look as easy as they did last week. But I do have a lot of faith in this unit. And Trey Smith, who went out last week with an ankle injury, he was a full participant at practice. They should have their entire offensive line there. And with them being the top graded unit, I would have gone with the Chiefs anyways. You take it to Chargers, I get it for the matchup, but Chiefs offensive line's a really good one. So I'll go Chiefs offensive line here, obviously, to round that out.
All right, I'm going Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back, and then DeAndre Carter at wide receiver. He had a nice little first game.
DeAndre Carter was awesome.
In Chargers uniform. 3 catches, 64 yards, 4 targets. I think he might get a little more usage here. So that's my team.
Journeyman wide receiver, 29 years old, almost 30, sticking with the Chargers here. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 64 yards and a touchdown. Afterwards, he's got an awesome story. He talked about how he's always playing for his younger brother who passed away, not recently, back in 2013, but it was something that he's always devoted his entire career to. And so anytime that's the case, man, you just love rooting for stories and love rooting for people like that. So love to see DeAndre Carter get in the end zone, was impressed when he was on the field. So that was good. I almost thought about taking him over Josh Palmer because I was like, damn, are they going to emphasize this guy a little bit more? But I think Palmer is the incumbent guy.
Man, they kind of did him dirty with that pick.
Hey, you
got to retake that too. You look high as hell.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I think he looks real handsome. You know what? I think he looks handsome. I'm defending him.
I'm just saying he could look handsomer, and that's why they did him dirty with that pick.
All right, Gerald Everett at tight end. That rounds out the draft. I wish you could pick Antonio Gates, but here we are. Used to be
through that door.
Used to be a time, but he's not. He is not indeed walking through that door. Okay, so I have my final team. If we have the final graphics up, there we go. Look at you guys. You guys with the speed today, getting these full screens made on the fly. So proud of you guys. I got Justin Herbert. I got Austin Eckler. Then I got Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, Josh Palmer, Gerald Everett, Chiefs offensive line. Mike's draft stronger at the tight end position. I'll give you that. But I think I got you beat. You got the combination of Mahomes and Edwards-Helaire. You got Mike Williams. Mike Williams, I think, is the X factor here.
Yeah, we'll see how he fares, obviously, in week 2. But talent-wise, I think I got you beat. But how they play tonight is a TBD.
Talent-wise, overall, I do think you got me beat. But I'm playing the numbers game.
You're playing
I'm playing
for one day.
Who is gonna get a higher PFF grade? Mm-hmm. And I do think I've got you a little bit here. Tell us whose team do you think is better? That's another question that I want to see in the chat. Whose team do you think is going to have a better PFF grade tonight? I want to let you guys know it's not my team lining up against Renner's team. You got to put your mind in a different spot. That's how you win these games. I hope we get to do this I hope that the Thursday night football games are interesting enough to where we get to do this the rest of the year, because I do think that this is fun. Everybody's saying Mike, and I will just say this. Any of you who vote for Mike, I'm immediately taking the vote away because he cheated to get the number 1 overall pick anyway. So make sure you guys keep that in mind too. Integrity is important on this show.
And I have very little of it.
And you have very little of it. A man who has high integrity is our next guest to actually talk about some really great bets that we've got for this Thursday Night Football slate of action. It is Kevin Cole, who is the host of the Unexpected Points podcast. He always does such a great job covering the league in a variety of different ways, takes a different angle and approach to results and games and everything. Kevin, thank you so much for joining the show, man. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, fellas. You guys are really getting deep there through this exercise, huh?
That's what we do. We're all about the details here on this podcast. We got to get to the nitty-gritty. And so, Kevin, I know that you're a guy that takes a very serious analytical approach to how these guys are going to play, how they're going to perform, and a lot of times that comes out in betting advice. How these guys are going to do, some over-unders, some prop bets, how they're going to fare versus the spread, everything like that. So when you look at this Thursday night football game, everybody's very excited. There's a lot of talent on both teams. Some bets are easier to make than others, but with this one, feels like both teams could go off at any time. So what's a couple of matchups, maybe a couple of player props that you're looking at for a script of what you think is going to happen in this game and how you think people should bet it?
Yeah, I like a couple of different player props here. I guess I'd start with more like a macro opinion on what may happen in this game. I think that the Chiefs, and this is what our projections are also telling us, our modeling projections, the Chiefs may run it a bit more than what's built into the projections. You were talking about their offensive line there. Obviously, a really good run-blocking offensive line. You have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa there. It's probably a good way for the Chiefs to get into the game. I mean, I don't like it as a nerd. I want them to pass with Patrick Mahomes every single play that they possibly can, but I think that may happen there. So then receiving unders come into play. So there are two in particular that I like for this one. The first one is an under on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, under 2.5 receptions. And the reason I like this is, number one, the macro thing that I talked about here. But also, if you look at the projections, and I'm looking at BetMGM here, they have Edwards-Helaire as having a lower chance of going under 2.5 receptions than they have Jerick McKinnon there. So I kind of like playing those two against each other to find value here with Edwards-Helaire. I mean, McKinnon ran more routes in the first game, and he ran 4 routes on third down to only 1 for Edwards-Helaire, and the Chiefs just weren't in third down in that game. They were just constantly converting on first and second down. So I think that's off, and then that really jumped out to me there. And the second one, Mecole Hardman, it's another one where I'm looking at him versus MVS, versus Valdes-Scantling, and they again have him as having less of a chance of going under. He was the clear third receiver when it came to routes run. I guess they keep on sending him out there, and maybe there's a little bit too much of a football guy take, but I'm just not sure he's good. So we're going to hope that Sky Moore is going to play more snaps, and if he does, he's going to take those away from Mecole Hardman. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had this great game, yet he targeted Hardman 6 times, only got 16 yards out of it. He's just going to drag down the efficiency there. So I'm hoping he'll be phased out a little bit more. So I'm going to go under 3.5 receptions on him too.
I do think it's only a matter of time before we start seeing a lot of Sky Moore action. But when is that matter of time? Is it going to be week 2 and Thursday Night Football in a short week? Maybe, I'm not sure. But I do agree with you. I do agree with the points and why you're making them. Mike, what about you? When you look at this game, some of the bets, some of the matchups, what are you looking at?
I tend to agree with Kevin here. I think it's going to be a Chiefs game where they run the football. Chargers had the 6th worst run defense grade of any team in week 1. Like, obviously they invested a lot in it, but those linebackers still look rough. So I do think the Chiefs offensive line built to kind of punch teams in the mouth. I think we see a heavy run game, which to me then, I like Justin Herbert under 38.5 pass attempts because I see this game script as a tight one, long drives, and basically not one where it's going to be Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes going back and forth, firing the ball up in the air. And towards the end of the game, not having that 14-point deficit where it's going to have to be Justin Herbert coming back out of a hole and digging his way out. And so at that point, I think it's just going to be one of those, 30 to 35 attempt games for Justin Herbert.
Kevin, do you agree with it? The Justin Herbert under 38.5 passing attempts? I'm sure everybody who's watching is hoping for more fireworks and that both of these quarterbacks throw 50 times, but it sounds like you don't think that that's what's going to be the case.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. And I mean, these are efficient quarterbacks too, right? So maybe they don't need a lot of pass attempts there. I mean, I totally agree with Mike here. This was the worst run defense in the league, either by success rate or by expected points added per play last year. I think maybe some people are a little confident that they're going to get better this season. They only gave up 60-something yards to the Raiders, but the Raiders only ran the ball 13 times. They got down 2 touchdowns, and Josh Jacobs had 57 yards on 10 carries. He's not exactly the most explosive back. So I think it's very much still wait and see whether or not they can stop the run. And again, the Chiefs will probably lean into that and test them early.
All right, well, my bets, because I thought we were also going against the spread, but I guess I didn't know that. So I picked the spread and the over-under as well. Chiefs favored by 4 in this game at home. I actually like Chiefs in this one. I think that they're going to win big. The way that they played last week, I just have so much faith in the way that this Chiefs team came out of the gate, how ready they were to maximize their offensive weapons, not named Tyreek Hill, who's no longer there. I do think we're under here on the score total, though. I think the Chiefs are going to win the game. I think they can win by more than 4, but I do think it's going to be a little bit less of fireworks because of Mike, something that you said earlier in the show where you were like, hey, it's just I don't know if every team's going to come out of the gate and be this hot for the first couple of weeks of the season. So I'll go under on that one, but I do like Mahomes over under 2.5 touchdowns. I think we're in for 3 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes. It's hard for me to bet against that, knowing just how much control he has of that offense, how creative they are willing to be. And even in situations where you talk about that, that shovel pass that he had to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're on the goal line, you go, okay, they're probably going to give it to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They do, but it's in a way that gets Patrick Mahomes a passing touchdown. It's a unique play. So I think ultimately, because they have so many of those plays, he's going to get over that 2.5 touchdown mark. Kevin, what do you think about this with the Chiefs covering 4, the under here, and then Mahomes over 2.5 touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough on spreads and on totals there, but I do like the under, if anything. I think there's a little bit of an edge there for all the reasons that we talked about. And the good thing about betting on Patrick Mahomes over on touchdowns, if it's like last week, you're already cashing checks, but in the first quarter, basically, if you can put up another performance like last week. So I think it's going to be a shootout for sure. And he not only had that shovel pass to CEH, but he also had the Mecole Hardman touchdown where it was basically like a little flare out to him, where they had him in motion. So just, generating those really, really easy touchdowns, even if they do have a run dominant game, could happen for Mahomes.
Yep, there we go. Kevin, appreciate you joining us, man. That was a lot of fun. Everybody go check out the Unexpected Points podcast right here on PFF's YouTube. Kevin does a great job, like I said, covering the NFL from so many different angles. Kevin, appreciate it, man. We'll have to get you back on soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, if you guys don't have the PFF app, now's the time where I would tell you to go download the PFF app. Go check it out. If you got an Apple device, go to the App Store, search Pro Football Focus, search PFF, and you will be able to get yourself one of the best apps out there for football. What?
Did Kevin just have a little Stephen A. Smith moment there?
What did he say?
Did he say, I like the under, and then like a sentence later he said, I think it's going to be a shootout for sure?
Oh, I don't know.
Can we run that tape back?
I don't know. I'm
going to have to go back and look
I hope it's a shootout for Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes only.
We did not talk about that Stephen A. Smith moment on the show, though. That was an all-time Stephen A. Smith.
The one where they asked him, okay,
who's going to score the most points?
Chargers.
Who's going to win between the Raiders and Chargers?
Raiders. No, wait. Hold on. He was asked who is going to score the most points. Chargers.
Yes.
And then
Literally,
Molly asked him why,
was.
and he was just like Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. That's enough. And then she's like, all right, who's going to win? And he goes, Raiders.
Yeah. Like literally the follow-up. It wasn't like early in the show he says Chargers, late in the show it turns out he picked the Raiders. It was like he had to have, like the fallacy in his head had to just not be there. Look, he just couldn't see it. Couldn't see it.
Hey, look. If you're copying Stephen A. Smith, he's making $10 million a year. I guess there are worse guys to copy. But so there we go. All right, so we seem like it's going to be a little bit tighter of a contest than just this absolute blowout or shootout of 40-40, something like that. So I'm sure that we're going to get a lot of really great offenses, but it's going to be really cool to see Andy Reid go up against Brandon Staley. For the last time, I'm asking you guys this question on the day. Do you like when your team plays on Thursday Night Football? We've got a Titanic matchup this week, but if it's your team, do you like when they play a little bit early?
I like when my team plays football. I don't give a shit when it is, dude. It could be Wednesday afternoon. I would be there watching, and I would not really give a damn. That would actually be a great respite from the rest of the week. So they can play whenever, but Thursday is great.
It seems like most people don't like it.
Okay.
What's the? Oh no, we have a different question that's pinned on the top of the chat. I thought we still had the other one. Stone or Quinn, do you remember what the final percentage was for the question of the day? Did we have that? Did we get a final on it? Felt like we were getting overwhelmingly no, that people didn't
57% said yes.
Oh, hey.
57% said yes.
There's a vocal minority in there.
Love it. All right. Well, I agree with it. I like to see my team play early on, get on the national stage. Then on my Sunday, I'm waking up, no stress, don't even got to think about it, and I can watch the rest of the games. That's how I like watching Sunday. Yeah. So I like when the team plays on Thursday. Mike does too. And the chat, the majority does as well. All right, everybody. That's it for today. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Enjoy what will be an awesome first Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football. We're going to be back right here to recap all the best sights, sounds, and stats tomorrow on PFF's YouTube at 11 a.m. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That's Mike Renner. For everybody behind the glass, we will see you guys tomorrow.
It's not about politics, it's about football.
This is a simple game.
We're going to run the ball, and we're going to pass the ball. He's just going to play football, really.
How good of a football player are you?
Not just get it and try to spin it. That's all.
I just love the game.
It really is the best time of the year.